So what we're going to do, if you guys have a question for one of these two speakers, please go to the back of the room, and then you'll ask your question there, and then that way we can channel it a little bit easier.
Hello. This question is for Seth. What would you say is the appropriate height and angle for the perfect high kick to optimize your... No, I'm just kidding. What is the one piece out of the ultimate set that you found yourself struggling with? And what did you do? And then, like, what's your favorite piece? And, you know, what have you done to kind of bring some of those lesser known pieces to the forefront so the customers get excited about them?
Cool. So if I understood your question correctly, you're asking what piece did I struggle with initially in the Alton upgrade, and then how did I develop comfortableness with that, or how did I develop the skill set to sell that piece? I would say for me, the biggest struggle was always the salmon knife and the vegetable knife. Those were two pieces that I didn't really like. I didn't see any value in them. Like, I didn't understand. I was like, why do they have another chopping knife? Like, this knife is stupid. If you feel that way, freaking buy it and use it, because like as soon as I started using it, actually I was cross-training with Jason and I watched him. I was like, oh dang, that's a really awesome knife. And I started using it, and then I started showing people it. And like how I sell the vegetable knife is, I'm like, I get a potato up on the board. I'm like, yeah, and like this is actually one of Cutco's hidden gems. Here's why, like it looks like a big meat cleaver, and so like people always think like, oh, I probably wouldn't use it that much, but like check this out. I hand him the cleaver. I'm like, feel how heavy that one is? Like, yeah. Now feel this one. Isn't that crazy how light it is? It's like for how big it is. Now I could say just like, isn't it crazy how heavy it is? And they'd be like, oh yeah, it's so heavy. And I'm like, oh, isn't it crazy how lightweight it actually is and easy to use, right? In their mind, it's like this big clumsy knife. But then as soon as you like break it down, like you're the person that's creating their perception of that knife. Isn't it crazy how like? And then what's cool about this knife is like what I love is that it's actually got this flat surface from here to here. It's got this rounded edge. What that allows you to do is you can actually like mandolin through your vegetables, and I'll shave off like a potato. Like you can chop with it. I mean, do something that's really hard, like a sweet potato or like a squash, and she just comes straight down on top of it. And then I'll use I was just doing a spaghetti squash the other day, and like this is the one I used, and it was amazing. It like works so much easier because of the way it's shaped. You know, it doesn't have a sharp tip on it. You can just press straight down. That one and like the salmon knife. And the salmon knife, I just used Jason's YouTube video. I think I'm responsible for half the amount of views on that thing. I literally am just like, oh man, and like this thing it's crazy because it looks like a bread knife, but actually it's like crazy flexible. And like Cutco actually originally designed it for like filleting fish, but like most of my customers love it for watermelons. It's amazing because like like a watermelon's so big and awkward. What everyone thinks is like big job, like big knife, big job. So they always gotta grab their chef knife. The thing is it's so thick it creates a lot of friction when it goes through there. So with this one it's so thin it just goes like right through. Like in fact, like check this out. People didn't believe me that it does it as easy as I said. So like I like paid my buddy Jason to put together this video, and I literally did. I gave him $1 so I could say that. And I gave him $1. I'm like, yeah, I usually paid my buddy Jason to put together these videos for my customers, so like you can check this out. And I just like fast forward to minute like 109. That's where he like cuts it, and then I like fast forward to like 116, and that's where like he like plays it off. I'm like, isn't that crazy? And I'll just put it away. I'm like, you're gonna love that knife, and I go right on. It's like, so stick and move. If there's a knife you don't really get or understand, it's like find somebody on your team that you know is like an expert at selling it. Find somebody nationally that you know is an expert at selling it. Get that enthusiasm, because like whatever you're excited about, they will get excited about. I had Dave Bush reach out to me and like ask like, how do you sell so many straight edge Santoku trimmers? I'm like, I just demo it with a lot of excitement, a lot. Makes sense?
I just want to add to that. I've sold like 30 salmon knives this year because I put a focus on selling them a lot because my aunt has been using it for slicing meats. So I just go like, hey, do you ever struggle to slice like meat really thin? This is the best knife for the really thin slices. I just do this. And like, oh, really? Yeah, I want that. So.
Adam Conroy, quick question. What are your favorite analogy to use to build value, whether it's an objection or selling a set concept?
I definitely use the shoe analogy the most. Just it makes the most sense because it's relatable, and everybody has more than one pair of shoes, no matter where you live. That's like my favorite, I think. Easy go-to.
Yeah, definitely the shoes, a purse, and then just like the idea of like buying it because you want it, not because you need it. Like, oh, I just don't know if we need that many knives. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I know you don't need this many knives. Like, you don't need anything, really, but maybe food, water, and shelter. Like, we don't buy things because we need them. We buy them because we want them, right? Or else we'd only have like one pair of shoes. Now, wouldn't you agree though, like even though you could live with one pair of shoes, it makes sense to have the right shoes for the right occasion? Yeah, just like it makes sense to have like the right knife for the right job. I mean, if you see yourself like getting it all eventually, if you can swing the blah, you know, whatever it is today, then it just makes sense to get it.
Hey guys. So this is actually a question specifically for Seth, but you guys are both welcome to answer this. Could you role play as if I'm a customer, drop down from an ultimate upgrade to an 850 package, explains what comes in that, and then to a 5-piece special?
Yeah, so great question. Using the special sheets makes it a lot easier. One of the things that I love is like it has it laid out. I'm like, yeah, so what a lot of people are doing is they're doing our complete upgrade. The reason why I just like you always have the right tool for the right job. Plus, like, wouldn't you agree, like, it makes sense to, like, park your Ferrari in, like, the garage, and I, like, slap the block. I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't park your Ferrari in the street, right? You gotta protect it. It's the block, right? And then I'm like, so I show them the upgrade, I show them the price. I'm like, and here's what's cool. Like, what Cutco's actually gonna do for you today is, like, we actually give you the full retail value on our basic set off of the complete set. So even though we know you didn't spend $1,500 originally on the whole set, and even if you don't actually have all the pieces, we actually give you the full credit anyways. And you got that kind of quiet, like, so it's awesome because you get that customer that's like, well, like, I don't know if I literally got a husband and wife. She's like, I don't think we have that set on. He's like, shh, doesn't matter. Like, he's like, don't tell him that. Like, we want the full credit, right? So it's like, it's how you position it. So like, we're gonna give you the full credit of that off of this set, and what's awesome is it's gonna discount it all the way down to blah, right? $15.96, whatever you're, you know, because you're here at the show. What I'm actually gonna do for you too, in addition to that, is I'm actually gonna buy and throw in 2 gadgets for free, so that way hopefully you like me and buy more later. Which 2 would you pick out? I pull the gadgets out towards them. Right? They pick out the gadgets. So what do you think? Like, would you guys see yourself using them? Would you want them? Could you swing the $300 a month? No. We're gonna walk around and think about it. Cool. Well, hey, real quick before you go, I'll write it down for you so we know what you're thinking about. Well, let me ask you too. Like, I mean, would you actually like use all the pieces? Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, most people think, like, you know, there's, like, multiple pieces in here that are kind of, like, duplicates of each other. Like, most people don't need two more chopping knives. Like, if you were to just, like, minimize down to, like, the 5 you think you'd use the most, which 5 would you use? And I help them eliminate it really quickly. I pick up, like, a salmon knife and a boning knife. I'm like, which of these 2 would you use more? Boom. Which of these 2 would you use more? Boom. You minimize it down for them to the 5. And, like, here's what's cool. When most of our customers don't do the whole upgrade, just because, like, most people aren't really expecting to spend, like, $1,600 today. Plus, like, you don't necessarily need, like, that many more knives. So now I'm like, yeah, like that option was stupid. I was just showing you. Like, let me show you what everyone gets. Then you show them that. And the great thing is, like you're actually only losing like 4 knives and a couple table knives, but we're actually gonna like knock off like almost half the price. It's gonna drop it all the way down to $937. You know what I'll do? Like, I'll still buy you a gadget. Which of these would you use more? After like, oh, we really want both of them. Like, let me ask you, if I did both of them, would you just do it? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Right? They say no, they still say no. I'm like, cool, like no problem. Between those 2 options, like which one did you guys like more? I mean, if we were to do it, we'd probably just do the right? We'd probably just do we'd probably just do the builder upgrade. Cool. Let me ask you, like on a scale of like 1 to 10, like 10 being like we're definitely gonna come back and get it. 1 being like probably next year. Like where would you rate yourself? If they're like a 6 or more, I would say like a 7 or more. Like then I'm like, I'm gonna offer them a better deal on this because the way that the sheets are positioned, it's pretty much full price, right? Maybe you're bonusing 1 or 2 things, so like 1 or 2 table knives. So what's awesome is that gives you a lot of leeway. Like as you're writing it down, you're like, let me ask you, like, it seems like you guys really like this and you use it. If I just gave you like a crazy deal, just took like a cut out of my commission, just like to help you guys get it, do you think you'd maybe go for it? Maybe. Like, well, here's the thing. I'm really competitive. My buddy Ian, he's beating me for the day. So you guys can take advantage of that if you want. Because I'd rather win and just make less. So like, here's what I'd do for you, and then I will show them a little bit better deal, right? If they're a 7 or if they're like a 6 or less, then I'm like, cool. Well, like just so you know, like most people don't do like the block, just because like that block's huge, right? Like you probably don't even have space for all that on your counter. What most people are doing is actually just the 5-piece special, because you actually get the knives you're gonna use the most. And I'll tell you what, like if you guys do it today, I'll just do this. I'll buy a storage tray, which is normally like $30. I'll just buy it and throw that in for free, so you still have somewhere safe to store them. You just got to promise in the future, like, you only buy from me. Cool? Hope that helps.
This is similar to the last question, but more for like new customers and Brandon. How do you help determine like if you need to drop down or just give a better discount? Because a lot of times when you're doing the 3 sets for life, like somebody might not need an ultimate, but they might want it, and it might be too much price. So then when should you drop down to the next set, or should you just give them a better price than the ultimate?
So first off, there's tons of like verbal and physical cues they'll give you, where you can kind of start to read it the more you deal with like the customer. And a lot of times I'll know like if I'm showing them something, it's not going to land anyway. Plus, I ask a lot of questions before I even show them stuff, so I already kind of know where I'm going to steer them. And then once I go to show them stuff, I show them the same stuff anyway. So like I'll ask like, hey, so like, if you're going to get Kukkoden, you're likely to buy like some pieces, or do you actually want to see like one of the set packages would be? And if they're just like, I'm more into pieces, I'm like, oh, cool, well, let me show you our top 4 sets. And I show them anyway. And it's like, so those are the options. But if you're just looking to get pieces, we can do like stuff like that. Are you sure you'd rather like, you're more like shopping for pieces, or do you want to like see what one of these packages, how it would work for you? And then in terms of like another way to do it is just to ask, like, hey, so like I know we're looking at this set here, and you're closing, you're showing them how the price breaks down. Like, so, but before you get to that final number, just simply ask, be like, hey, do you think this is the right like package for you, or do you think you'd rather see like bigger or smaller option first? And it's like they're like, oh no, this is the right one. Or do you have they're like, sometimes they're just like, well, I am curious about that bigger one, So really just asking right before you get to your final close, making sure you're checking in with the confirmation. And then also when you check in on the pricing, that's the other indicator. It's like if you check in and they're just like, that's definitely out of the budget, well, I'm not going to close on that. I'm going to immediately drop down and find a number they're more comfortable with.
I guess this one's kind of for both of you, Cutco owners, non-Cutco owners. If you get someone walking up to the booth and you ask them, say hi, all that stuff, and they're like, I'm looking for a really good boning knife or just a chef knife or something like that. I'm looking for this specific thing. How do you segue into showing them more stuff when they're kind of zeroing in on that one thing?
I think Luke had an amazing transition line. Is like, oh yeah, like that actually comes in our upgrade. So like how, again, being programs focused, it's are you doing the best service for your customers? Like, yeah, like I could show you the boning knife, and like the boning knife's amazing, and that actually comes in our package upgrade. The thing is that if they just buy a boning knife, they're gonna overuse it. They're gonna use it for wrong stuff. So it's like you're doing them a disservice by not selling them a 5-piece special or an ultimate upgrade. So having that idea of like, cool, they're asking about this knife or they're asking about this individual price. Like, what's awesome is that actually is discounted in a package deal. So let me show you the package deal. And then then you drop down, like you get the person that's like going to think about a 5-piece special. You're like, hey, you know what? Like, do you want to just go ahead and like get the boning knife? I know that was like the thing you asked about first. Why don't we just do that? That way, like you get the knife you really want. You'll lock in your preferred customer discounts, and we can always like do the upgrade later. You get the commitment, and then you drop back. You try to drop back up, showing them like a buy 2 get 1 free, or buy 3 get 1 free, or 5-piece special. Like, hey, like just so you know, like I know you're spending $99 today on that. Like if you did our 5-piece special, it's actually less money today. It's only $80 today. You get all the knives you're going to use. I mean, if you see yourself doing it eventually, I would definitely recommend taking a look at that.
So when someone comes up looking for a specific thing, I like to sell it to them and get the order. I like to get to it quick and just get the, hey, confirm you're going to buy this, because sometimes they'll come up looking for it and they still walk away after you talk to them like, oh, I was really just curious. So I like to make sure I get them sold. Okay, cool, well, you're at least getting that. But then I'll just explain. So like in terms of the deals I'm doing, I can always save you a couple dollars on a knife. But if you want to check out like our 4 or 5-piece package, I can save you like the kind of deal you'd get if you bought like the whole ultimate set, like the biggest package. Can I show you what that would look like real quick? This way it just introduces it to the package.
My question's for Seth. So you explained your progression is always ultimate upgrade, 850 package, 5-piece special. I'm assuming that's like assuming they have a homemaker. So if like a customer walks up and all they have is a paring knife, trimmer, and spreader, like what's your progression there?
So the great thing is making it a deal. So that was the thing I used to fixate on. I was like, well, what do they already have? What I learned from Jason and what I've witnessed time and time again is it really doesn't matter what they have, because the idea of an ultimate upgrade is that they get 9 knives, they get a block, and they get 4 extra table knives. So making a program, because that way, like how many people here have had the person that's like, oh my gosh, this seems awesome. I just want to confirm what I have at home, and then I'll call you. Anyone have that happen, right? Everyone's still waiting for that call, right? Like, they never do it later. So it doesn't matter. The great news is it doesn't matter what they have. Like, you can be like, Jason's basically like, oh yeah, like this is what everyone has, or has seen over the last 60 years. It's like, and if you start showing them pieces, like, what's hilarious is just like the ability, just have the ability to pivot and be fluid. It's like the ultimate upgrade doesn't matter. Like, there's not 9 pieces that they get. Like, I show them the 9, but like as I'm showing them a cheese knife, they're like, oh, I have that one. I'm like, I know. And people love this one, but they always said like it doesn't have a sharp tip. And I just transition right to like how the upgrade doesn't come with that one. Like, you love this one, right? Like, the upgrade actually comes with the Santoku style one, right? And you can be really excited, like, oh yeah, like the next piece that comes in your upgrade is this one. Like, oh, I have that one. I'm like, yeah, and that's why this is not the one that comes in there. Like, this is the one that like everyone liked, but like this is the one that comes in there, right? And you just pivot to a different knife, right? They're like, oh, I already have the 4-inch paring knife. Oh, I know, like people love the 4-inch paring knife, but like people said, like it goes dull so fast in the cutting board because because of the way it's designed. So we came up with this gourmet 4-inch paring knife, and like you can never have too many paring knives. That'd be like being too happy, right? So just transition to being fluid. The ultimate upgrade is 9 knives, a block, and 4 more table knives. So just again make it where it's a concept, not something that's like a set in stone. Like you get these 9 pieces. Like my ultimate upgrade is different from Curtis's, different from Brandon's, I'm sure, because like I have the pieces that I feel all my customers should own, and like I run through them quickly, and like I have a lot of conviction in those pieces, and like that's what my customers buy. Just so. Doesn't really matter what comes in the ultimate upgrade. It just matters that it's a concept of like, hey, you get 9 knives, you get a block, you get 4 table knives.
Yeah, this question is for Brandon. I was just wondering if you could go through the signature approach, how you frame that, and then I was also wondering if how you frame it that way, if that actually leads you to more success upgrading to the ultimate.
Nice. I'm glad you asked because I wanted to spend more time on that, but I planned a 30-minute talk and didn't realize I only had 20 minutes. So the way I go through it, I show the ultimate first, just explain my quick explanation. And then I go into the basic, which is the top-selling set in Cutco's history, all of like stuff I heard from Curtis, by the way. So just do whatever he does. But the top-selling set in Cutco's history. If you bought Cutco since the 40s, this is basically what you got on your counter, and it's got all the tools that every household needs for the course of a year. Okay, so this is just what everybody needs in the household for the course of a year. Service for 8. So I frame that first, and then I go into the signature set and this is our best value set. It's the family set for all the family cooking. It's got everything in our original top selling set, all right, which now establishes that they need that. And it's like, okay, I need that anyway. But it's got our top customer requested pieces, and I like to hand them to them so they get a good feel for the difference in all the knives. It creates the idea that, hey, a variety of knives, it's not all the same stuff. They're different knives for different jobs, and I want to have the variety. So I'll show them the Hardy slicer, let them feel the weight, let them both pass around. I'll show them the Petite Santoku, and they feel that difference. And it's like, so that's like your heavy duty carver for all the really tough jobs, like your snowshoe. And then this guy's like your lightweight chopper, so you have 2 different size chopping knives for, both you guys, plus like your everyday dicing and mincing. Our dense food knife, which is like the top selling individual knife, because it's great for all the sticky, starchy foods like potatoes, apples, and onions. And then it's the smallest set that has our shears, and I'll do the penny demo. So from there, like that frames it so that they're like, okay, great, that's got like everything plus those. I'm really excited about that because it sounds great. And customer requested pieces that from a set that you've had since the 40s means that's probably the best like 3 or 4 options that you could add in. So from there, it sets up that this is the right package. We get in the price, we get in the kind of the dance of, is this the right package for them? As far as the up and down goes, it's a lot easier to drop down from a signature than from a homemaker. You got a lot more options, between steak knives, customizing it, homemaker, customizing it. There's several different things. In terms of going up, it's just a simple question of, hey, so do you think like that would be the right package for you? Or would you actually rather have like a set that has like a bigger variety of knives for like every single job you ever might do? It's kind of like the framework for the ultimate is, hey, it's the set that has all the knives that do the right job in the kitchen, but not like just like a general set of knives, specific knives, so you'll never have the wrong knife for the wrong job again, okay?
So we're gonna do one more question, and I know there's a line of you guys back there, but I will let you know that at lunch, come and talk to these guys. They'll answer any questions that you might have, because we wanna be respectful of the time since it's the last day. So you guys can sit down if you guys would like, and then we'll adjourn to lunch right after this. So, last question.
This question is for either one of you guys. When I was an in-home demo rep, I really, really pushed bigger sets like ultimate sets, signature sets, because I feel like I had a lot more control. And now I find when I push really hard on larger sets bigger than a homemaker that I get generally one of two reactions. Either their body language immediately changes and they kind of step away from the booth and it's really hard to backpedal, or they really are sold on the idea of the set, but then they give me the whole, oh, well, you know, we're just going to get it next year because, you know, I'd rather just wait and get it. And it's really hard to sell them off the set and back onto a homemaker because I push so hard on the larger sets. So my question is, how do I get rid of that fear? Because I know if I'm seeing from conferences and brother reps, like Brandon Brown saying on the first day that he's like, I literally just put the homemaker in the back. And I was just like, how do I eliminate that fear and push more towards larger sets?
Cool. So the big thing is not having an agenda for what you want your customer to buy. Is your goal to be there to help them get like the perfect package for themselves? And then the other thing would be just having this idea of like Deanna Scortino I think it was last year, like had the analogy of like the Ferrari, right? Like, hey, by the way, Mr. Jones, like most people's goal is to own the big set. But imagine this, like one of my goals someday is like I would love to own a Ferrari. But just because I can't afford to buy a Ferrari right now doesn't mean I don't drive. Right? That's like oh no, like we're gonna get the whole set or we're not gonna get anything. Like that is stupid, right? Just because you can't afford a Ferrari does not mean you don't drive something, right? You drive something you can afford. Just because you can't buy the full set doesn't mean, like today, doesn't mean you shouldn't start with something, right? And so a lot of times their fear is like, well, I don't want to buy something now and then like pay a lot more later. So just pop that fear bubble. I'm like, hey, by the way, like what's cool is like our goal is to find something that fits in the budget that you're going to use all the time. And if you see one of these sets, you're like, I definitely want to get that set, but like it's not in the budget today. What's awesome, we have this upgrade program that's actually designed to take customers like you that want to get started today with Cutco. Maybe can't afford like their ideal set. So we actually start out with this, and then what's awesome is in the future, like when you're ready to upgrade, we should give you the full retail value of what you guys bought today off of the bigger set. So we'll make sure that you'll get locked into preferred customer discounts in the future.
Yeah, so it's a good question, but a fundamental thing I'm hearing is you're saying, how do I push that bigger set? And you never want to be pushing anything. You know, we're not sales robots. We're like kitchen consultants, if anything. So you want to be more pulling. Pull them in to talking to you and engaging with you and getting questions asked that are going to help you figure out a way to make it make sense to get that bigger set if it really does make sense for them. But if you ever feel like you're trying to push something and you're doing something wrong, you know, you should feel like you're pulling them in just to deal with you and let you help them figure out what works best for them. And if it's those bigger sets, then go that route. The only time you ever should really be pushing is if you've talked to them over and over and you know it makes sense and they're just not pulling the trigger. But really you should be more pushing it yourself to be like, what am I doing wrong? What did I miss along the way that they're not clicking and saying, yeah, I'll get it. So just think about that as you're doing it. If you ever feel like, oh man, no, I want them to buy this set, I want them to buy this set, just take a step back and be like, hey, is this really the right set for them? All right, just close on anything at that point, and it's easier to go up, if anything, as opposed to pushing something that they're not really comfortable with at first. So.
Great stuff. All right. Thank you, guys.